Feeding the sourdough starter. All right, so we have to keep our starter alive. Now the starter, I've been experimenting with this because I've never done it before. So when I first started, I left it out on the counter and I fed it every day, grew it, maintained it every day. But there'll come a point when you want to put it in the refrigerator if you're not going to be cooking for a week. So this had actually been in the refrigerator for about a week, and I just used some of it to make my sourdough leaven with. So this is what's here right now. And I'm going to take and you actually, what you do on this, if you keep feeding it, it just gets more and more and more, and you don't need more and more and more. So I'm going to take and get rid of about half of this. Now, they all tell me that everybody hates getting rid of their sourdough leaven, but we don't need to keep all of this, but we do need to feed it. So it's like you gotta kind of protect the mothership. It's kind of sticky. It doesn't taste great, but that's the best way to solve that problem when you're cooking, as long as it's just for family and friends. All right, so now I've got a little bit less in here. You need to keep about 2 tablespoons. And this becomes what's going to grow and be what I use next. Hang tight. Sticky fingers in the kitchen. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is add 2 tablespoons of water, warm water, to this. So we're just nourishing a little bit. If we kept all of it, we'd have to nourish all of it. So now I'm just going to take this and blend the water in with this. And you'll actually notice it starts getting bubbly because right away the warm water activates the yeast that's in here. It's actually sourdough. I don't know if it's yeast or not, but you can see that the water is getting bubbly as it's activating and working with the leaven, the sourdough leaven, sourdough starter. Let's call it sourdough starter. I'm kind of the guy that messes up the names, but I like to touch and feel. And part of why I like bread making, why I've really enjoyed it, is the touch and the feel has been therapeutic for me. I found it to be very healing. The other day I had to go to an event that really bothered me emotionally, and I just came home and I made bread and cleaned up the kitchen, and it was just awesome. Okay, so we've got 2 tablespoons of water in there. Now I'm going to add about double the amount of flour to it. So we'll start out by putting 2 tablespoons of flour in here. Again, when I was watching all the videos on how to do this, there were a lot of different options on how sticky it should be. And I just decided that medium sticky was going to work for me. And so, does that work there, Anna? Can everybody see that? I'm just mixing this up into a sort of sticky dough. It needs a little bit more. And I decided to keep mine a little bit less dry, a little bit more sticky, because it's just easier to work with. So just a sec, let me mix this up and I'll show you what we have. So I've been also trying to figure out the perfect bowl to keep this in, so I'm just using these food grade plastic containers right now, but I'm working on a couple other things that'll be a little bit easier for this. Give me just a sec more here. And this is what I've been doing. So you can see that it's really sticky stuff, all right? It's very, very sticky. But this is what we end up with. All right, so it's sticky and it's messy. If you put your fingers in there, it's kind of a hot mess. And what I'll do after this video is I will just clean the edges of this off, because it's kind of like glue. Remember in grade school, some of you back a long time ago, we literally made glue out of flour and water. The difference now is we've added air. So air added to flour and water makes dough that we can eat. It makes wonderful, amazing bread. So this is basically good to go. We will just put the lid on it. I'll leave it out on the counter for about 6 hours so that this starts growing. And once it's grown, it'll be about double the size. Then it can go in the refrigerator and it can stay there for about a week before I have to bring it out and feed it again. So this is your sourdough starter that we just say from time to time. I have heard people talking about their sourdough starter has been in their family for 10, 15, 20 years, sometimes generationally. People's sourdough starter becomes personal to them, and I kind of understand this, because it's like nurturing a child, raising it up, and the older it gets, the better the flavor is, and it just becomes a part of you. So that's your sourdough starter.